Picture this, you open Netflix or Amazon or any other platform like YouTube with seemingly endless choice. And instead of picking something, you just keep scrolling. More options, quicker decisions, but somehow worse outcomes. And eventually you either settle for something or you default to whatever feels easiest. The interesting part is it's not because the options got worse, it's because the environment changed. Too much noise, not enough time, a bit of pressure, and suddenly behavior shifts. And that's not unique to streaming. We're seeing the same thing play out right now in hiring because the environment overall has changed and behavior is changing with it. The market itself has tightened. There are fewer opportunities relative to the number of people looking for a job. So people respond in the only way that really makes sense. They apply for more roles, they move faster, they try to increase their chances. And on the other side, companies are dealing with the same pressure: more applications, more noise, more competition for the right hires. And that dynamic exists with or without AI. What AI does is sit on top of it and kind of accelerate everything. So candidates apply faster, employers process faster, the whole system speeds up. And when that happens, it's easy to say that technology is the problem, but it isn't. It's the environment. AI is just amplifying the behavior that the environment creates. And that matters because hiring isn't just a matching problem, it's a problem of uncertainty. You're making a decision about future performance based on incomplete information in a system where both sides are really incentivized to present themselves in the best possible light. And that doesn't go away with better tools. If anything, under pressure, it gets worse. Which is why traditional signals, I think, start to break down. Not because people are doing anything wrong, but because they can't carry the weight that we've put on them. So you start to see a shift more towards observable proof, tasks, simulations, practical assessments. And that's not an AI trend, that's realistically a correction. So where this gets harder is at the entry level, the kind of work people used to learn from, the early low stakes experience that builds capability. That's exactly the kind of work that is now being either automated or stripped out. At the same time, competition is increasing. So you get this tension, more people trying to get in, fewer clear entry points, and a growing expectation that people arrive ready. And AI didn't create that, but it's making it almost impossible to ignore. And alongside that, the role of the recruiter shifts quite significantly. It's less about processing information, it's more about interpreting it, making judgment calls, understanding context, because the core of hiring really hasn't changed. You're still making a decision under uncertainty. And I think AI can surface signals, it can organize information, it can reduce friction, but it doesn't remove uncertainty and it doesn't decide what good looks like. That still sits with people. So when we talk about AI fixing hiring, I think it's worth reframing it. AI can certainly make the system faster, more scalable, and sometimes more consistent, but it can't fix the underlying problem because the underlying problem is not inefficiency. It's that hiring is and probably always will be a judgment call made with incomplete information and done under pressure. So I think that's where we are. AI is not breaking hiring, but I don't think it's fixing it either. What it's doing is just speeding everything up and making it much harder to ignore what was already there. The question now isn't whether you use AI, it's whether the system that you're applying it to is actually built to work. Because once you start looking at it, and you start looking at it that way, you tend to end up asking much more uncomfortable questions. Not how do we hire better, but whether the way that we structure work in the first place still makes sense. And I think that's where this starts to get interesting.